Friday night. Well, it's Friday afternoon. And first of all, I apologize very, very, very much. I'm a little late today. Believe me when I say this, it really, 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 I could not be helped. Oh boy, it was, anyway. Just some very, very quick announcements. Chiefs, Falcons, Sunday night. I will be live here on YouTube and on Twitch. I'm streaming on Twitch and YouTube and Instagram. One thing about Instagram, if you hit me up on Instagram, StreamYard does not put the Instagram comments over does not transfer the Instagram comments over. So even though I go ahead and I go live on Instagram, if you put a comment on Instagram, I don't get the messages. So, but I will be live Sunday night. If you have any fantasy football questions, prop bet questions, anything at all, if I don't get to it today, you can send me a DM. You can put a comment on the YouTube video. You can go old school. And you can email me at dantalksfootball@yahoo.com. I will get to it depending on what part of the country you're in Friday night or Saturday morning. Same deal. If you need something for Saturday. Now, here's the drill. Sundays, I'm completely unavailable until I go live on YouTube for Sunday night. So if you have an issue Sunday afternoon, Sunday morning, then I'm not going to be able to help you out. But if you missed today's show and you have a question, you can DM me, you can email me, and I'll hit you back. So again, I apologize for being late. Yeah, I know Slasher, and the show's starting off great because I got Slasher in the house. Man, Slasher, what is up? Man, I'm pretty jacked up today. Right before the show, I was going over my so I released my weekly picks video, which is in the description below. Hopefully you've already checked it out, but just in case you haven't, do check it out. It's really awesome. What I'm doing this year is the picks videos are short. I don't go into a lot of detail. I just kind of give you the winners, kind of my thought process. If there's something particular that about the game, but for the most part, I just give you the winners. And then since I'm going live Monday through Friday, I'm going in a little more detail with the games themselves. That's kind of what I want to do today, is go into a little more detail. But I went through every single game. I went through the point spreads, and there's some changes that are going on. I kind of want to go over those details. I don't have every injury report up to date. I don't have every injury report up to date, but the point spreads that I'm going to provide are I literally just got them down. Mike McFarland, what's up, Dan? Man, my Friday is going great. Mike, I usually I feel terrible for starting the show late. So, man, I am doing fantastic. I hope you are doing well as well. There he is, the legend. I promise you that this was a situation that it was necessary. It was necessary. So I really do feel terrible because I think you guys deserve better. But before I go into next week's games. I'm pulling up just the box score because I want to make sure I get everything correct. I want to talk about Thursday night football. I thought it'd be a much closer game. Once I heard about the offensive line situation in New England, they were starting a pair of rookies. I was a little worried. I still thought New England could do a little more offensively than they did. Bottom line here. New England's defense is really good. All right, if you look at the box score, you're going to say no, not really. Aaron Rodgers ripped you apart. The running game ripped you apart. I'm trying to see if they even got any. They did get a pair of sacks, but you're going to say no, Dan. The Patriots defense is really good. The Patriots defense is really good. The offensive line is not. This is a team that needs a massive upgrade on the offensive line. One of the things that a lot of people don't realize is that the big reason that New England dynasty ended, of course, Tom Brady, of course, that's a big part of it, is that right after their final Super Bowl, that free agent period, the Chiefs gave Joe Thuney, the Patriots' best offensive lineman. They gave him a massive contract. It was 5 years, over $80 million. No guard ever made anything near that. And a lot of people thought that it was too much. I loved the move at the time. And actually, correction, they did that after they lost the Super Bowl. Correction, I got my timeline mixed up. But one of the reasons why the Patriots dynasty fell apart and the Chiefs dynasty started, and we're right in the middle of the Chiefs dynasty, is because of Joe Thuney. That's a big part of it. Big part of it's the offensive line. The Patriots over the years have drafted. They've tried getting players in free agency. The offensive line's a mess. One thing about I'm a huge fan of Jacoby Brissett, but he's just getting killed out there, and he knows he is, and he knows every single game. I see him grimacing. I see him beat up. I see him going through just a rough patch. So, but he knows that this is pretty much his last chance. He knows that this is his last chance to be an NFL starting quarterback. And New England's paying him just to get the crap kicked out of him. I feel really bad for the dude because he's the guy who I think I think he could start in the NFL, and I think he could have a little bit of success. I really do. One thing about being the quarterback's a little different than any other position in the NFL. With quarterback position, you really need pieces in play around you. You need external factors. You need the right coaching staff. You need organization to be behind you. You need an offensive line. I think last, but it is important, is you need weapons. One thing about Patrick Mahomes is when he came to Kansas City, it really was like the perfect storm. I mean, everything fell into place perfect. He had Alex Smith, who helped him out, someone he could watch for a full year. He had a really good offensive coaching staff in Kansas City. He had Andy Reid. He had Travis Kelce, who I will argue is the greatest tight end in NFL history. If you want to argue that, I understand. If you want to tell me he doesn't block, I'm with you. No, he didn't know he's not really a blocker. But the reason why I have him as the best is that there's a lot of guys out there that put up great stats. It doesn't equate to wins. One thing about Travis Kelce is that his stats have not only helped win games, but win big games, playoff games, Super Bowls. And with Patrick Mahomes, you have the combination of Alex Smith, a good offensive mind, great weapons, good organization. And that's the reason why you have Patrick Mahomes. With Jacoby Brissett, Gerard Mayo is a defensive-minded coach. I like Alex Van Pelt coming in from Cleveland, but I don't know if this is a guy that's going to be an offensive genius. The offensive line situation's bad. Instead of let me ask you this here: what kind of situation would you be if you drafted Joe Alt at number 3 instead of Drake May? So, I got some great questions coming in. I'm gonna nail here, Chris. Oh my God, my boy Chris! It's Red Friday. They don't have Red Friday here in Vegas. It's really weird. Also, football starts at 10 a.m. It's really weird. Chris is my boy from Kansas City. Chris, you would love it out here, man. Except I know you like the cold, but except for the temperature. Lately, it's been fantastic. The weather's been fantastic out here, man. If you ever get wild hair up your ass and come out to Vegas, man, I'd love to see you. It's been a while since I've seen you anyway. I should have seen you. I should have stopped by and visited, before I left to come out here. So. Slasher, great question to start off the day. Dan, should I start DK Metcalf or J.K. Dobbins? Okay, this is a great question. You bring up the first thing I look at. They're both playing decent defenses, but I feel like Miami's defense looked lost last week. So Miami's defense is actually not playing bad. Anthony Weaver is a brand new defensive coordinator. It's a little interesting is that Anthony Weaver and I wanted to say Tom McDonald. Great, 12 minutes into a show, and I am just drawing the blank on the new Seattle head coach, but both of them work together in Baltimore. So one thing about this matchup is that the Miami defensive coordinator knows the Seattle head coach very well. They work together in Baltimore. They're kind of going to run similar schemes. So I think one thing that people may overlook in this game is that Miami, I think, will be prepared for Seattle's defense. Vice versa. So it's going to be interesting here. I didn't think Miami's defense looked lost as much as the Tua's interceptions. Tua doesn't remember, one was a pick six. The other two really put Buffalo in a good situation. I really felt that Miami's defense played well. I think Tua and that offense put them in bad situation. By the way, so out Tua's 3 interceptions, I felt one, if you remember, one bounced off like the receiver's arm, went up in the air, defensive back took it back almost for a touchdown. The second one, by the way, they released, he changed his name to Robbie Chosen. I forget what it was, but it looked like he ran the wrong route. He's been released from the team. He's not even on the Dolphins anymore. And it does look like he ran the wrong route because it's funny because the defensive back it looked like he was just fielding a fair catch. The third one, which was a pick six, that was Tua's fault. I get what you're saying. And by the way, I would not blame you if you go against my advice and say, hey, Dan, I'm going to play DK Metcalf. And the reason why I want to play DK Metcalf is that Miami, their defense doesn't look that good. I got a coach who knows the defensive coordinator really well. I'm at home. You have a backup quarterback. I get that. And here's the thing. Pittsburgh's defense is playing lights out. That Steelers defense is not only playing lights out. I'm going to talk about that game in a little more detail because I picked Pittsburgh. A lot of people are. I almost put action on Pittsburgh last night. I wanted to wait and do the show today, kind of think about things a little more clearly, and I'm regretting it because the line jumped up from 1-2. A lot of people are looking at Pittsburgh at this game. Part of this has to do with the Justin Herbert injury situation. It looks like he's going to play, but he is questionable. By the way, if Herbert doesn't play, it doesn't change who I would pick. And I'm letting you know right now, like I really think you have to start J.K. Dobbins. I really believe this. He leads the NFL in rushing. All right. I firmly believe that he's going to get 15 to 20 touches. I say 15 to 20 because I do expect the Steelers to win. I expect a low-scoring game. If the Chargers get up on this game, the Chargers have some success running the ball, which I don't see. That you could get a 25 to 30 touch situation for Dobbins. Out of the two, I think both could score a touchdown. And the thing is with DK Metcalf is I've seen this so much over the year. The size speed ratio is higher for DK Metcalf than any other player in the NFL. Here's a guy who tried out for the Olympic team. He didn't make the 100-meter Olympic team, but he's 230. It's crazy. By the way, he didn't finish last either. I think if I remember right, it was 15 out of 17 or 16 out of 18. So I remember he beat two guys. These are two guys that are running 100 meters that are competing for the Olympics. This is what they spend their life doing. DK Metcalf's a football player. Like, let me see if I can do it. And he still beat two guys. Like, I don't think, if you know anything about track and field, that's beyond impressive. And he is legit 230. I mean, he's a big dude. The size speed ratio is phenomenal. I've always disliked holes in his game. He's not consistent. He doesn't really run a full route tree. The hands are iffy. He follows up games that he had 100 yards in with like a 3-catch, 25-yard, 3-drop performance. I've seen him do it a lot. DK Metcalf's a guy, like when he's on, good luck. I've seen him off a lot. I should have looked at this before I came on, but I didn't have a chance. I didn't look at the Kenneth Walker injury. If you go back to week 1 to use Kenneth Walker, last I saw he was doubtful. If Kenneth Walker plays, you 100% want to go with J.K. Dobbins. If Walker is out, I'm still going to tell you to go with Dobbins. Here's the deal. You could get 100 yards again. You could get 100 yards and a touchdown. You could get that. With Dobbins, you're definitely getting 15 touches. Yes, it's a tough game. Yes, you have a West Coast team traveling to Pittsburgh to play an early game. That's always an issue. You also have a very good Steelers defense that is going out of its way to stop the run. He's still getting 15, 20 touches. DK Metcalf could get 10 touches. He could get 2. Kenneth Walker's playing that that instead of getting 10, he's probably getting 8 max. So I would go with J.K. Dobbins. By the way, even though the Steelers defense is playing tough, they get around that goal line situation. Dobbins is a big dude. I mean, you got a chance to get an easy touchdown. Out of the two, Dobbins is much more likely to score. Dobbins is getting more touches. I 100%, I 100% getting that. I 100% get this. I really do. Steelers defense better than Dolphins defense. I mean, that's not debatable. You also have DK Metcalf playing at home. You have J.K. Dobbins playing in Pittsburgh. I get all these things. I'm going to level with you. I would not blame you if you said, I'm going to take DK Metcalf. I would not blame you one bit. I would not blame you one bit, but I would strongly suggest you go with Dobbins. You're going to get, you're guaranteed to get 15 to 20 touches with Dobbins. DK Metcalf, you have no idea. You could get 2 touches. You could get 10. Kenneth Walker plays. It's probably going down to 8. I've seen this so many times in DK Metcalf's career where he backs up a 100-yard game with a 10-yard game and 2 or 3 drops. You still got Tyler Lockett. Jackson Smith and Najigba, they really like. But if you go back to week 1, when Kenneth Walker plays, they force feed him. And when he doesn't play, then, they went pass happy against the Patriots, which I think has a better defense than Miami. So that I understand why you could say, you know what, Dan, I'm gonna go with DK. I would not blame you if you ignore my advice or just go elsewhere. I wouldn't blame you. I still would go with J.K. Dobbins. Mike McFarland, another great question here. Should I start Tyreek Hill knowing the horrible quarterback situation or ride a hot-handed Jameson Williams? I'm also starting Devontae Smith and Rashee Rice in the flex. Great question. By the way, Rashee Rice, that's a very solid flex option. Devontae Smith. I actually kind of like Devontae Smith in this matchup against the Saints. There's no A.J. Brown, so I like those two. All right. So I was paying attention to this. Raheem Mostert is still not officially rolled out, but it looks very unlikely that he's going to play. Last week, they gave A-Chain an insane amount of touches. I was really surprised about that. I really don't think that A-Chain's going to get, 20? It was like 22 carries. If I remember correctly, it was 22 carries and 7 receptions. I promise you, A-Chain's not going to get that many touches this week. I think they're going to use Wilson more. There's talk about Jalen Wright getting some more touches. I'm still about that. I'm also, I know I'm kind of ranting here, so I want to limit my rants because I know I want to make sure I answer any and all questions. Plus, I know I got behind. I also want to go over all the games. I would still start Tyreek Hill. I really would. And the reason why I would start Tyreek Hill is I really think that what the Miami Dolphins are going to do, Skylar Thompson, it has some talent. A lot of people feel like the sky is falling in Miami. Oh, it's a 7th round pick. It's kind of funny because I'm not saying they're the same type of player, but Skylar Thompson does kind of remind me of Brock Purdy in some way. Both were Big 12 quarterbacks. It's funny because I watched Brock Purdy play at Iowa State a lot. I had a major man crush on Breece Hall, so they're teammates. I remember watching Brock Purdy and I said he's not an NFL quarterback. I watched Skylar Thompson and I'm like, he's got more NFL quality traits than Brock Purdy. I thought he had a bigger arm. I could be wrong about that. I liked his athleticism. The one thing I didn't like about Skylar Thompson was he didn't seem to be overly accurate, seemed to have mechanical issues. I liked him at K-State quite a bit. If you don't know anything about K-State, traditionally more of a running team than a passing team. So having a quarterback, runs the ball, primarily, when he's primarily used as a ball carrier rather than a passer in an NFL situation, that always scares me. But there was a lot of things about Skylar Thompson I liked. I'll be honest with you. If I was an NFL scout and I was scouting Brock Purdy and Skylar Thompson, and I said, hey, which one should my team draft? I would have said Skylar Thompson without pause, because I see more of an upside than I did with Brock Purdy coming out of college. I say this because this guy, I think, can play in the NFL if everything else works out. I fully believe that I still believe that Tyreek Hill is a legitimate number one wide receiver, even with a backup quarterback, because you can still go downfield, which is the number one thing you want to do at Tyreek Hill. They get creative using him in the running game. Unless this game is a blowout, you have an opportunity Tyreek Hill is the guy who can literally score from anywhere on the field. Go watch that Jacksonville game. First half, I don't know the exact numbers, but they weren't doing good at all. Nobody on that team was doing good. And all of a sudden, 80-yard touchdown, everything completely changes. You're probably saying to yourself, hey, Dan, I got the big play threat in Jameson Williams. Don't I have the same thing there? You don't. You really, really, really don't. I fully expect this week that they get Laporta involved a little more. Amon-Ra's the number one dude there, always going to be the number one dude there. Plus, you have two really, really good running backs. By the way, that Arizona-Detroit game is going to be a lot of fun. I'm not hating you if you decide to go with Williams. It's a good situation to be in. I think you're in a good situation with Tyreek Hill or Jameson Williams. I really do. The thing is, I really think this is going to be the week where I think Laporta gets involved a little more. I also could see them trying to force feed Amon-Ra. I know he's a little banged up or something like that. But Tyreek Hill, I firmly believe, is still a must start. I'll be honest, as far as pure arm strength, Skylar Thompson very easily could have a stronger arm than Tua. You actually may get a situation where the Dolphins may approach this game and just tell Skylar Thompson, hey, listen, 2 or 3 times a game, we're just going to have you throw the ball deep. If Tyreek Hill's in double coverage, just who cares? Just throw it up there. If you make some mistakes, don't worry about it. I don't expect Devin Achane to have 30 touches again. But I'm as far as putting Tyreek Hill on the bench because you have a backup quarterback, I wouldn't do that because Skylar Thompson has a big arm. He has some athleticism. And I really think also that they're going to use Tyreek Hill like they're going to have him do that, I call it a slip screen, where he lines up as a wide receiver, takes a step back and then gets the ball. They'll use him that way. I think Tyreek Hill could have a monster game this week. So my suggestion is start Tyreek Hill. If you want to go with the hot hand, I would not blame you one bit. I would really hate for you to bench Tyreek Hill and he has a 100-yard one or two touchdown performance. And I really believe that he could do that. My other options are Kevin Johnson and Juwan Jennings, but I'm concerned they're just going to give the ball to Achane and think Tyreek Hill is going to struggle without Tua. Yeah, I know they did that last week. By the way, I think a lot of giving Achane all those touches was that it was a blowout loss. They they knew that once Tua went down, hey, remember they benched Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle late in the game, and they were just kind of joking around on the sidelines. I know Kirk Herbstreit was kind of miffed by it, and it's kind of funny because I kind of get the impression Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit don't really care for each other. But it's kind of funny. But they did bring that up. It's like, don't you want your superstar players to at least be invested in the game? I get it, because they knew Buffalo had their number. Buffalo came ready to play. I think Seattle's a different situation. I really think Seattle's a different situation. I think Seattle could be up 24-7 in the third or even fourth quarter. And Miami, even with a backup quarterback, could be saying to themselves, hey, we can get back in this game. Buffalo, that Thursday night game, it's a little different. Another thing I want you to think about, it's a few extra days against a first-time head coach. So I really think too. I really would not recommend if you have Tua on your fantasy football league. I really would recommend make sure he plays. Craig, putting Stevenson in there gave me the fumble. Game got out of hand. Jets defense looked like Jets defense, dude. I'm really sorry, man. I got the numbers pulled up. One lost fumble that hurt you. 6 carries, 23 yards. Did not even get a touch in the reception game. I would not blame you for hating me. Would not blame you. I get there. I get it. Great performance out of the Jets. I kind of wanted to go into this detail. I wanted to make sure I get all these questions answered, but I didn't want to go into detail. The banged up offensive line. Will McDonald, it's kind of funny because the Jets really didn't want to draft Will McDonald. They were trying to trade up to draft Broderick Jones, who got benched in last week's game for the Steelers. And Will McDonald, especially with Hassan Reddick holding out, this just looks like a steal. 5.5 sacks. Another Iowa State Hawkeye, that we're talking about, Brock Purdy, and, we're talking about Breece Hall. Will McDonald barely played last year. This year, with Jermaine Johnson going out, and Hassan Reddick, holding out. All know, by the way, the Jets lost, in the first game of the season. Everybody's panicking. This is the type of team we were expecting. Aaron Rodgers, 27 out of 35, 281, 2 touchdowns, 3 carries, 18 yards. He's the oldest player in the NFL. Doesn't look or act or behave like it. Tyler Conklin, 5 catches, 93 yards. He was impressive. Garrett Wilson had a touchdown. Breece Hall, let me see here. What are his final numbers? 4 receptions, 29 yards. 16 carries, 54 yards, and a touchdown. So, I'm really sorry, man. My goal with this channel is I want to talk football with 32 different fan bases, but this year, full disclosure, I originally planned to do fantasy football only a half a show. I was going to do college football and fantasy football. And originally, I don't know if you remember Denver Gator. Me and Denver Gator become friends. He's a college football junkie. He's down there in SEC country. He was going to come on and we were going to talk college football. He was going to be a regular on the show, but he's busy hooking up with all these different girls. He's just partying like a rock star. He says, Dan, I can't do it. It's like, all right, well, I mean, I can't force the guy. I mean, the guy's partying like a young Mick Jagger. Yeah, he's making. Let me think if I can come up with a better reference, slightly younger reference, but Vince Neil in his prime. That's going on what Denver Gators doing. Hopefully, you get those references. But anyway, he's just living his best life down there in SEC country. But once the comments started coming in, I was like, all right, I'll do one show. And I was like, well, let me do two. And it's been a blast. But I will be wrong from time to time. I feel bad about this because I've been telling people I think Stevenson's a start. I thought Breece Hall was a start. I mean, Breece Hall, 54 yards and a touchdown on the ground. That's solid. 4 catches, 29 yards. Okay. He had a good game. Solid running back number 2, or ideally a flex. But I mean, I've been telling people, Breece Hall's the guy you want to start, and I still feel Stevenson's a starter. I feel bad for you, man. Slasher says, he had Stevenson into a really weird game. He was good till he hurt his thumb, and then he didn't come out until the third quarter. Fumbled. Yeah. So I firmly believe that if it was a closer game, they wouldn't have put Gibson in there. Gibson's a guy I've been recommending some people, that I had one guy who had CMC. He was like, who's some waiver wire running backs? I recommended Gibson. Got some garbage time stats, probably only got you like a handful of points though. So. But I do feel bad for you, Craig and Slasher, man, because I did recommend him. Shit paid 7. Should I pick up Christian Watson or Jay Downs or Cortland Sutton from the waivers? Okay. Josh Downs, no. That situation in Indianapolis is just bad. That situation in Indianapolis is bad. I like Downs as a player, but until I see some things ironed out, I would strongly suggest avoiding Downs like the plague for right now. I want to see some things. I like both Watson and Sutton as really good waiver wire pickups. Bo Nix, I from what little I'm watching of Denver, I really like what I see out of Bo Nix because it looks like what they are doing is they're running almost a full Sean Payton passing offense, and they're just throwing Bo Nix out there, and they're just saying, hey, I don't care if you're a rookie, you're going to run the full offense. And I've always been adamant that you should have a quarterback sit like Patrick Mahomes. But if you are going to do something like this, I remember they did the same thing with Peyton Manning. In year 2, he just blew up. I know year 1, people point out the interceptions, but he did have some nice yardage. And some of those receivers actually had pretty decent games. Sutton, solid. Watson would be the number 1 option. There's talk about Jordan Love coming back this week. I don't expect it. And by the way, if you're going to start one of these 3 guys, which is not ideal at all, the guy I would go with would be Sutton. And I want to be very clear about this. I have what's the line on the Denver game? I'm drawing a blank here. I got it all down here. I just can't find it. Okay. So the one thing I've noticed here is the line on the Denver game. People are putting a little bit of action on Denver. Over-unders jumped up. But if you have to start one this week, which is not ideal at all, you start Sutton. Christian Watson, once Love comes back, is really the guy. And there's talk about I don't know the official word. There was talk about him maybe playing this week. I don't think so. I think you go ahead, You go with Malik Willis against his old team. I'm predicting Green Bay wins. It's kind of an upset. Not betting on it. There's 2 games I do like to bet on, by the way, but that's not one of them. So, short answer, if you're looking to stash one, do Watson. You're really going to like Watson because once Love comes back, Watson is a starter. If you got to do one this week, go with Sutton. I really like what they're doing in Denver. It's kind of funny because I'm telling you 2 completely different things about how to operate a rookie quarterback. I like rookie quarterbacks to sit. But if you are going to start a rookie running back and you just throw him out there and he can understand NFL concepts and he can understand the playbook, which it looks like he can do, there's a chance for some real growth. This week, Sutton, if you can hold off for a week or 2, Watson's a guy. Avoid Josh Downs right now. I have no faith in Anthony Richardson finding anybody. So another great question, Gus Edwards or Tank Bigsby. I like Bigsby in this situation. Gus Edwards started the year for the Chargers, got that lasted about a half, and then they let J.K. Dobbins roll. I like Tanks Bigsby. Both these guys are kind of going in tough situations. I don't like either one of these guys, to be honest with you, but I would go with Bigsby by a little bit. I really think this could be a game where Edwards maybe gets like 5 touches and Dobbins gets like 20 to 25. I will say this. I have a feeling the Chargers are going to go into Pittsburgh and play the type of ball that they want to play. They're just going to keep running the ball. So yeah, I would, man. And by the way, I could easily see a situation where he gets a lot of carries, but not a lot of yards. And I get that, but you do have a guy in Dobbins that I would almost promise he's going to get 20 touches. And the one thing about Dobbins is even though he's a bigger dude, he has home run speed. I mean, that was one thing I loved about him I love this guy. I had a kind of a man crush on this guy since Ohio State. So he entered Ohio State at like 195 pounds, and he was a track dude. And once he realized he was going to be the starter, nobody told him to. He's like, I'm just going to bulk up. And he was at 195. Then he jumped up to 220. And he did this in college. So I'm assuming that part of that is the natural growth. There's a lot of guys that put on size in college. I don't know if you know, you've heard of T.O., right? You're an Eagles fan, of course. Yeah. He went to Middle Tennessee State on a track scholarship. He was 6'170". He played football. He was pretty good, but he was 6'170", and then he gets Middle Tennessee State and just explodes. There's a lot of guys that do that. There's a chance that maybe Dobbins just, put on, 15 to 20 pounds naturally, but he said, hey, look, I knew that I had to get the workload, and he put on that weight in college, and it looks like he still put on the NFL 20. But one thing about Dobbins is that if you watch him play, he has home run speed, even though he's a bigger running back. That's why I really like Dobbins, is that he's that guy that, at any point in time can score. He might be that guy, 21 carries, 55 yards, finish with 25 carries, 125 yards. Really love Dobbins. All he has to do is stay healthy. Champagne 7, what are the 5 weakest offenses right now? Top 5 strongest defenses. Oh man, what a great question. God, I would love to dive into this a little more because I'm worried I'm going to get behind. Also, just spitballing here. If you watched last night's game, I would have told you the Jets going into the season was, and then watching the 49ers, rip them apart, I would say no. But after watching them play the Patriots, I might put the Jets up there. Steelers are up there as well. The Steelers defense looks phenomenal, even though I've been telling people to start J.K. Dobbins. Steelers defense. I actually might consider Atlanta. This is a fun game, Chiefs and Atlanta. It's a fun game because I think Atlanta definitely has a top 5 secondary. I like their front 7. They don't have a pass rush. I know Judon had a sack or two. And it was kind of funny because I was watching Mekhi Becton, the new guard, who looked like he was playing awesome. He struggled on stunts. That I doubt the Kansas City Chiefs 3 interior is really going to have that same problem. Chiefs do have a rookie left tackle, but I could argue Atlanta's in that category. I know their secondary is, and they have some front 7 issues. I know Cleveland gave up like 33 to Dallas. Fully aware of that. I would put Cleveland as a top 5 defense. You have Myles Garrett, who's an alien. JOK, I love that guy. Delpit's a guy's playing at a high level. And Denzel Ward's a Pro Bowl caliber corner. I would, as of now, and I'm not 100% sold on, but the Chargers would be in that category as well. The Chargers defense has played lights out. They really have. First 2 weeks of the season, I would put the Saints in there. Very few points, lots of turnovers. This is going to change. Top weakest 5 offenses, Carolina Panthers, which I think is going to change. I really think it's going to change. New York Giants, that offense is not good. I've been saying this for a while. The Tennessee Titans this week, if you want to say backup quarterbacks, I mean, you could look at Malik Willis, but I don't know if I would consider the Packers offense as a bottom 5. Chicago, bottom 5. I mean, Caleb Williams just doesn't look like he belongs. That's a big difference. Forget numbers. Throw numbers out the book. Throw numbers away. Watch Caleb Williams play and watch Bo Nix play. And Bo Nix looks like he understands the NFL. Caleb Williams does not. And it looks really obvious. Believe it or not, bottom 5 offense today, right now, Jacksonville belongs in that category. I think I laid out more than just 5 for each way, but I mean that's kind of what you're looking at. Great question. I'm coming up to the top of 1 hour number 1, even though I'm behind a little bit. So I'm going to take a quick commercial break. This is a great question, man. I'm sorry I couldn't give you a better answer. But I do want to touch base on this because there's a lot of things I want to get to today. Yeah, the Patriots are forced to throw. I always say the same thing. I mean, 2 backup rookie offensive linemen for the Patriots. Really, the Jets really took advantage of that. Will McDonald's having a phenomenal year. I expected Jermaine Johnson to have that type of season, but Will McDonald, 5.5 sacks in 3 games. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. Okay. I'm going to take a very short commercial break, but when I get back, I will answer this question here. Very quick commercial break, and I will be right back. Sunday Night Football is going to be a good one as the Kansas City Chiefs travel to Atlanta to play the Falcons. Hopefully you can join the fun as we will do live play-by-play reaction to what is going to be a really great game on Sunday Night Football. Join the fun Sunday night as we live stream Chiefs Falcons on Sunday Night Football both on YouTube and Twitch. I hope to see you live on Sunday night. This year, Dan Talks Football has teamed up with BetUS. I made a video showing my first $100 deposit. It was fast and easy. Sign up with the link below in the description and start winning today. Now let me finish fixing my hair and we will get back to more Afternoon Delight. Yes! All right, hour one is in the books. Again, I apologize for being late. Start Champagne 7's on fire. Champagne 7, I don't recognize you, so make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Start Likely or Ferguson, great choice. I like Likely a lot. I like Likely a lot. I actually let me double check something here. I'm going to look up the numbers from last week because I want to tell you that they didn't use them much last week against Baltimore. No, they didn't. What was it? 3 for 26. I'm sorry, against the Raiders. Against the Raiders. I expect him to have a big week. So. Bear with me one moment. Sisu, what's up, brother? Hopefully I'm getting that name right. What running back should I try to get a trade? So you need a running back, and which one should you try to get? All year, I need a little more information. You have some good options here. You have some good options. I need a little more information here. You trying to find running back number one, waiver wire guy. Are you doing just one of those weekly? No, you said trade. So give me a little more information. Are you looking like for running back number one, somebody to step in, waiver wire guy? Give me a little more information here. B group is drawing a blank, and I should know who B group is because I should know who this is. I'm just drawing a complete blank. I am drawing a complete blank on B group right now. Jatavion Sanders, I know. I'm assuming group is a tight end. I'm just drawing a complete blank. The Saints backup tight end. Kicker? I assumed when you said Jay Sanders, I thought you were going. I thought you were talking about Jatavion Sanders, the tight end. But God, I kind of dropped the ball on this question here in Champagne. Let's see here. So you're looking at kickers, huh? Yeah, when you said Jay Sanders, first thing that popped up was Jatavion Sanders, the 4th round pick out of Texas and went to Carolina. And I thought that was unusual. But I know you're looking at Carlson. Group would be the Saints. Okay. As a general rule of thumb, and I should know this. I'm dropping the ball here. Champagne 7. You're nice enough to join my show. Great questions. As a general rule of thumb, always get a kicker in a dome. And I like getting usually what you want to do is get a kicker on a bad offense. All right, because you want field goals, you want extra points. The Saints is kind of an exception right now. I mean, you're just getting scoring left and right. I think it's going to – I don't think it's going to stop. Go with Group right now. If he's available. Your reason why is that it looks like every week you're going to get a bare minimum of 5. What you don't want to do is you don't want to pick up a kicker and get shut out. That's what you're always worried about. Indoor, high-scoring offense in a division with some defenses that are questionable. I know I just told you Atlanta, but Carolina at that defense looks absolutely horrible. You could have a situation where you're playing Carolina again. I don't know when they play off the top of my head, where you could get 20 points, which sounds crazy, but sorry I dropped the ball on that one, man. Perry, you know what, Perry? I told you that I was going to give you a wrench, and I completely forgot about it. And you know what the thing is that I honestly forgot how to do it. You know, that was the whole thing, is that I sit here and there's an ability to do it. I just I don't remember how to do it. I don't remember how to do it. And I told you yesterday that I was going to go ahead and make you a mod, because you've done a fantastic job, and you've been here for a while, and I completely forgot how to do it. And I felt bad, because I mean you add to this show quite a bit, and I'm always really excited to have you in. And I completely forgot. I'm sitting here off the top of my head. I said I was going to do it after the show yesterday, and I dropped the ball, man. I dropped the ball. Perry, before Sunday's game against Chiefs Falcons, I will find a way to make you a moderator. I'll give you the wrench. You've earned it. I should have done it before now, and I forgot. Slasher, it's weird because he had back-to-back games with 20-plus carries, and he plays the Jets, gets hurt. Yeah. I feel really bad. Oh man. Oh God. I guess I'm off on Fridays. I had a real strong show on Wednesday and Thursday. I'm off on Friday. Cliff. Yes. God, it's been a while, man. So if you haven't had a chance, check out my weekly picks video. It's in the description below. Please check it out. I'm going to go into a little more detail. I wanted to get the questions ironed out, get all the comments answered. There were some injury issues I kind of wanted to go over. Plus, I wanted to go over Thursday Night Football. I'm going to do my best. There's 2 games I like. There's 2 games. I haven't put action on any games yet. There's 2 games that I'm leaning towards, and I kind of want to go over those games in a little more detail. I also, a game that I'm not putting action on, but I wanted to touch base on, is what I think is probably game of the week, Houston, Minnesota. But Cliff, man, it's been a while, man. I'm glad to see you, brother. Hey, Slasher and Chad. Perry, I feel like such a dick, man. And you're just, of course, I didn't give you a wrench. I'm a dick. The Jets came to play, looked like A-Rod did look like his old self. I thought the Pats would beat the Jets. I thought the Pats would run the ball at will and win a close one. I thought it was going to be a close game. I predicted 22-20. Even though I knew New England's offense would struggle, I thought they would still have some success. I was thinking maybe Hunter Henry would have some success. I will say this. I like Polk, but I mean, they need some help. But one thing is that I didn't realize the offensive line situation was as bad as it was. They started their third round pick who played right tackle at Penn State. They had started him at left tackle. That's never a good sign. They had, if I'm correct, an undrafted rookie free agent start at one of the guard spots. One thing that New England's been absolutely terrible on the last several years is drafting offensive linemen. They really, really have been struggling drafting offensive linemen. They need to get that interior fixed. The only player they got on the offensive line, I like Andrews to center. The right tackle, I know they signed into a nice free agent deal this offseason. That's it. They drafted Sidney Sowell, I think it was 2 years ago. I loved him out Eastern Michigan. I watched him at the East-West, I think it was the Shrine game, and I'm like, this guy can – because he played left tackle at Eastern Michigan. I thought he would be a really good guard. Hasn't been able to stay healthy, not been the guy. Like, it's funny when you watch him play, you can see the athleticism and size, and you can see the tools are there. I don't know if it's a coaching issue, fundamentals issue, or a health issue, but there's some real problems on the Patriots offensive line. They have got to get that ironed out. Every single game Jacoby Brissett's played in, he's just gotten the crap kicked out of him. And I feel bad because I think a lot of people are looking at the Patriots and they're saying, oh, Jacoby Brissett can't play. And it's not him. It's that offensive line. They've got to get that fixed. BH, welcome back, brother. Got offered Devontae and Rachaad White for Carr, Mason, and Terry. Ooh, that's an interesting one. Orman and Rachaad White for Carr, Mason, Terry, and Waddle. Ooh, okay. Let me see. So it looks like that. Let me see if I'm reading this right. So it sounds like one wants you to give up just Carr, Mason, and Terry. Another one wants you to give up Waddle instead. Just throw in an extra player if I'm reading that right. So double check that, because it looks like it's the same trade. It's just that they want you to add in Waddle. Okay, so you've been following my show, you know that I like Rachaad White quite a bit. Devontae Smith's not a bad player, but I would not make this move. And the reason, okay, so here first off, Mason, great couple weeks. It's a great story. When CMC comes back, he's going to the bench, but looks like CMC could be out. I was looking at this. It was yesterday, 2 days ago. CMC may be out till week 10. I kind of feel like I'm flip-flopping on Mason, because I was telling people, like, this is the guy you could sell high. He's going to come back to earth. But I'm looking at, Deebo Samuel's hurt. Kittle, I believe, is going to play, but is also banged up. Brandon Ayuk, I always butcher that name. It's always been out. So I could see a situation where Mason is more valuable and you may want to hold on to him. If I remember correctly, your quarterback situation's really good. So losing Carr does not hurt you that bad. And but Terry McLaurin's a guy that I understand you got a rookie quarterback who's running the ball more than he should, but I like Terry McLaurin quite a bit. I actually tell you the truth, there's not really give me 1 second here. I said Devontae Smith. I meant Devontae Adams. All right. And Rashad White for Carr, Mason, Terry, and Waddle. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I did misread this. I knew I was missing something. Okay, so you got Devontae Smith and Rashad White for Carr, Mason, and Terry, or Amon Ra and Rashid White for Carr, Mason, Terry, and Waddle. I got it. Okay. All right. Sorry. Not my A game today. Okay. If I remember correctly, losing Carr doesn't hurt. If I remember correctly, losing Carr doesn't hurt. If I remember correctly, you got two quarterbacks that are you're putting yourself in a good situation. If I remember correctly, Carr is a legitimate NFL MVP right now, and I like the offense and I like what they're doing in New Orleans. It's a lot of fun. I'm a little hesitant on. I think I'm backtracking because I'm kind of liking Mason a little more than I did before. So I also another thing is that I've always been a big Rashad White fan. I also think he's going to have a big game this week. You're getting a legitimate number one receiver is what I like in both of these trades, in Amon-Ra and Devontae Adams. I would be really. Can I ask you this here on that first trade? You get Devontae Adams and Rashad White. You get rid of Carr, Mason, and Terry. Is there any possibility it could be Carr, Mason, and Waddle? Is there any possibility on that first trade you can keep McLaurin and get rid of Waddle instead? Is that a possibility? I'll be honest with you. If I remember correctly, losing Carr does not hurt you at all, and that's why you're entertaining this. I'm a little hesitant on giving up Mason with all the injuries I'm looking at with San Francisco, because Mason could be in a situation where he's getting 25 to 30 touches this week. I also get that you're in a situation where you have an opportunity where you can get a really good running back in Rashad White, and you could also get a legitimate number one receiver, which it looks like you have to do. And I'm assuming. The issue I have with the second trade is that you're giving up Mason, who could really be very valuable for you for the next 6 weeks. And you're also getting rid of your the number one wide receiver, who I understand he hasn't performed, but Terry McLaurin. It should just be a matter of time before he gets an uptick. And Waddle is a guy that, when everything's said and done, is going to be 1,000-yard receiver. It really bothers me. And even though I like Rachaad White quite a bit, there is some truth that Bucky Irvin's eating in those touches. If you gotta do one, and I'll be honest, I'm going to be honest with you. I really don't want you to do either one. I really don't want you to do either one, because I'd like for you to hold on to Mason. But let's say you do need to do it. You absolutely need to do it. Do the first one, because one thing about Davante Adams is he's the number one guy. And I don't like the Raiders. I don't like the Raiders running backs. They're okay. Gardner Minshew, I think is just going to, I think you're going to get 10 to 15 targets every week. Rachaad White, I also think is going to be a guy that is going to crack 1,000. This is going to be the year. He came close last year. He's a guy that I think is a running back number 2, but I really, I'll be honest with you, man. I really don't want you to make either one of these moves, because right now I'm looking at the 49ers. If George Kittle doesn't play and Deebo Samuel doesn't play, you're going against a depleted Rams team, okay? Why Mason could get 30 touches Sunday. I'm not exaggerating when I say Mason could get 30 touches against the Rams, because you're playing a Rams team that's bad. Samuel may not play. I have to double check here, but I know Kittle didn't practice. Ayuk's, do you really have to make either one of these trades? I'm behind on comments. Can you? I know I'm behind. Can you hold off, or do you have to make a move? You need that number one receiver. Please let me know. The Patriots had less than 60 yards. Yeah, they did. Yeah. And one thing about Braylon Allen is he's a guy I just had such a major man crush on. I don't expect Braylon Allen to continue in a game that's not a blowout. I don't expect him to play. I think the reason why he got as many touches is because it was a blowout. I think if the game was closer, Breece Hall would get all those touches. But I have a huge man crush on Braylon Allen. Oh, man. Afternoon Delight just got better. The beat in the Back Talk Brothers. The great one. The talent. Gooch! I got some love here from Gooch, man. God, the show's always better with some talent. Brissett was not good last night. I feel like Pat should be. I know. I'm telling you this right now. The one thing, I don't know if you noticed this, but the final play of the game, Mayguy's helmet knocked off. You're in a game where it's already over. Okay, the Jets won, and he's in garbage time duty, and he's still getting hit. You do not want to put a young quarterback out there when your offensive line's that bad. I mean, they're basically paying Jacoby Brissett to get the crap beat out of him right now. That's why I don't want May in there. That offensive line is bad. They need to fix that. If I'm the Patriots, and it kind of sucks because, by the way, Keon White, oh God, is he good? If I was the New England Patriots, remember you get an extra 3rd round pick for Judon. I'm going offensive line in round 1 and not maybe packaging that 2 and 3, going back into round 1, getting another offensive lineman. I mean, I really expect in those first 4 picks, which you got 2 number 3s, 2 of them need to be offensive linemen. They need to fix that offensive line bad. That is they need to fix some stuff on that offensive line immediately. I would not put May out there. Look, it's garbage time in a game that's already over, and the quarterback's still getting his helmet knocked off. That's not good. They're just paying Brissett to get his ass kicked, and it's a shame. It really is. Is there a possibility there's a free agent offensive lineman at the trade deadline? Maybe. But I really think the Patriots, what they're going to do is I think free agency, they get somebody, and first round, maybe even second round, they need to fix that offensive line. It is really bad. But he isn't the long-term answer. I seriously, the offensive line's in bad shape. I don't want to see him going out there, getting beat up and losing confidence. And then when you do get weapons and the offensive line not knowing what to do because you don't have the confidence to get it done because you get the crap beat out of you. That's kind of what I'm looking at. Also, they may need to tweak some things offensively. More rollouts, more. I'd have to go back, and I probably won't. But maybe more play action passes. I know ideally they want to run the ball, and that's the identity right now is a power running game. But the quarterback was like a sitting duck out there. They need to do some things differently offensively to protect the quarterback. So. At Slasher, what teams should sit a rookie quarterback, or should they learn? That's always a great question. Got a little love here. Slasher says it depends how good they look and how knowledgeable they are in running the playbook. I do think it's a good rookie quarterback sit a year and learn, because sometimes guys lose confidence fast. Like Caleb Williams should be sitting. I like the fact that Bo Nix is starting, because like when I watch Bo Nix, I feel like I'm looking at a guy who understands what NFL concepts are. I feel like he understands an NFL offense. When I look at Caleb Williams, he to me looks like he's not getting it. Don't get me wrong, when you're the number 1 pick in the draft, I understand why the Bears threw him out there. I didn't like the fact that they were like, yeah, I know we haven't had our first mini camp, but Caleb Williams is going to start day 1. I also didn't like the fact that his backup is a second-year quarterback who is an undrafted rookie free agent. I'm going to level with you right now. I think the Bears, if they were trying to win today, they would go with that backup. With Tyson Bagent, they would start Bagent right now. If the Bears are all about winning today, like, hey, listen, 2024, we got to get to the playoffs, they would start Tyson Bagent, and they would tell Caleb Williams, hey, look, this is what it takes to be a quarterback in the NFL. By the way, I could see Chicago cleaning house, like getting rid of their general manager, getting rid of their head coach, just starting all over. I could see that completely. Bo Nix looks like he can run an NFL offense. He legitimately does. I'm kind of excited to watch Jaden Daniels. I'm going to watch the whole Monday night game. I'm going to go back and forth. I'm going to DVR both Monday night games. By the way, I hate when the NFL does 2 Monday night games. I hate it. But anyhow, I'm going to watch both games, and I'm going to pay attention to Jaden Daniels, because I know week 1 he ran the ball 16 times. I know that the way that they're running their offense, it's dumbed down, but it's an NFL offense. But what they're telling Daniels, it looks like, is 1, 2, run. And I think eventually it'll go 1, 2, 3, run, 1, 2, check down, 1, 2, 3. And then at the end of the season, I want to see him go left to right or right to left. I want to see him come back. They may not do that this year with Jaden Daniels, but I'm excited to see Jaden Daniels' progression. But right now, Bo Nix is the only one that I'm looking at like, hey, you can operate in an NFL offense. Caleb Williams doesn't look right. Jaden Daniels looks better, but I don't like when I have a quarterback running over 12 times a game. And Daniels, this isn't a dude built like Josh Allen either. Like I remember he started as a true freshman at Arizona State, and they were even joking around. It's like, yeah, he's listed at 175, but there's no way he played. He was playing at 175. I don't care what he's listed at now. He's probably closer to 200, but he needs to put on some size. But Slasher, I think Caleb Williams starting right now is hurting his development. I think they kind of mismanaged him. And I think it could hurt him long term. The way Carolina's handled Bryce Young, I don't think it's the right way. I can kind of go on and on. I want to make sure I get all the comments here, and I also want to touch base on some of these games. But God, this is a great conversation. Yeah. Part of that was offensive line. Part of the way that they handled things, didn't have weapons. Remember Carolina gave away their number one wide receiver. The offensive line wasn't in good shape. I know this free agent period, they addressed the offensive line. I remember they drafted Ike Ekwonu, and I thought this guy was just going to be a superstar at left tackle. Just for whatever reason, hasn't developed. So, yeah, the Panthers are a mess. Bad owner that interfered, changed coaches, bad GM, lack of talent. Even if they did sit, no. Everything that they did has been wrong. I like what they did bringing in Dan Morgan. Dave Canales had some success, but the fact that they're benching him, it's a disaster. I'm hoping, if I was Carolina, this is exactly what I would do. And I predict that Andy Dalton's going to look. I'm predicting that this offense going forward is going to look a lot better with Andy Dalton. I think it's going to look a lot better. I'm reaching out and trying to find out what Bryce Young's value is. What will teams be willing to pay? And I'm using the Trey Lance trade. The Cowboys gave up a fourth, and that's unfortunately what you're probably getting, probably a fourth. Can you get a third? Can you do like a fourth that can be a conditional third? That's kind of the way I think that Carolina will do it. And I think they'll look at the draft, and they're hoping that because it looks like they're in the pick top 5, that they'll have their guy. They'll get it right this time. Then what they're hoping is that the players they drafted in this year's draft, Xavier Legette, raw talented dude, will pan out. Remember Jonathan Brooks, he was first running back taken in the draft. He tore his ACLs like late October or November. When he comes back, he's got all the talent in the world, but he's coming off an ACL. Jatavian Sanders, the Texas tight end, probably would have been a second round pick, had bad 40 time. That was it. Watch him play. I knew he ran a 4.69 at the combine. He looked like a 4.5 dude. Case in point, Mike Gesicki, who tore apart my Chiefs. I remember he ran like a 4.51 or a 4.53 at the combine. I watched him play a lot at Penn State. He was Saquon Barkley's teammate at Penn State. I watched him play a lot. I was like, he looks like a 4.8 guy. That's also the reason why he's on his third team. Had a great game against Kansas City, by the way. I think it was 7 catches, 93 yards. But I'm not sold on Young, but that the Carolina Panthers are a mess. I would move Young, just get him out. I would draft a guy. I would tell Andy Dalton, who I think will. I would tell Andy Dalton. I would say, hey, you're our guy for 2025. Help groom our quarterback along because we threw Young into the fire. It didn't work. We're going to draft a guy. We're going to have him sit behind you for a while. We'll give you a decent amount of money. We'll fix the offensive line. They do have some finances and draft resources invested into the offensive line. They also have some young talented players. After you draft your quarterback in Carolina, you spend the rest of the draft on defense because this is a big defensive draft. Maybe even make them trade up or two. Denver Gator! I love Denver Gator. Bunch of football nerds having delight in the afternoons. What's all about, brother? What is all about, brother? Little love here. Pat's situation's a lot better than the Panthers. It is. It absolutely is. You have a lot of really good. That Patriots defense is legitimately a top 10. Keaton from Keaton Talk Sports, who I'm hoping will join me on Monday. It looks like we have a thing where he'll be coming in every Monday. He was trying to tell people Patriots a top 5 defense. And I'm like, pump the brakes there, but that Patriots defense is really good. That offensive line situation is bad, and that's what they have to fix. So, Dan Slasher Gooch, Denver Gator, you think Panthers GM Morgan and head coach Canales are the right guys? I will say this: I like both. Better than what they've had. Morgan's a guy I want to give an opportunity to. Dave Canales was a complete dark horse at head coach. I remember I did a show where I talked about all the head coaches, and Canales was the guy just came out of nowhere. I kind of want to see what happens with Canales. So Morgan I do like. I think Morgan's the right guy. Canales, I want to wait because here's the problem. He was forced to keep his defensive coordinator from last year, which is Evero. Then they got rid of 4 of Evero's key starters. His best player, Derek Brown, got hurt. He's out for the whole year after they gave him a lot of money. And Derek Brown's an excellent player. Derek Brown on a winning team last year. Makes that top 100 list, probably top 60. I mean, he's really, really, really good. He gets hurt. So Evero's going to be the scapegoat this year. They'll let Canales bring in the defensive coordinator that he wants. Keep in mind, he spent some time in Seattle and Tampa Bay. So it'll be interesting. I think that he'll get the guy that he wants on the defensive side of the ball after this year. With Canales incomplete, Morgan I like. We'll have to see what happens too. I will say this: I wasn't super fond of them drafting 3 developmental guys on offense to help out Bryce Young. I really felt like I would have gone in a different direction. So Morgan, maybe. Canales, I don't know. That's my opinion. Have I heard? Yeah, so I reached out to Keys not too long ago. I was trying to see what his schedule. If I had my old schedule, he would be a regular. Is what he. I'm kind of paraphrasing. I really shouldn't speak. Keys' schedule for Afternoon Delight. Basically, he can't make the show. When I was on Friday night. If I went back to Friday nights, Keys could be a regular. It's just his work schedule. We're kind of in a group chat, and he sent something not too long ago, but yeah, I'm gonna kind of reach out to him, because right now, Keaton from Keaton Talk Sports is, we were talking. He's like, hey, look, I can come on a Monday, and I don't want to sit here and tell you, hey, Keaton's going to be on every single Monday, but I'm kind of hoping that's what it works out. So we'll have KTS coming on. If things change with Keys' schedule, I know this Keys is a lot of fun, and I also know he really enjoys it. So yeah. The owner, that's another thing. He needs to stay away, because I really think that if CJ Stroud was drafted instead of Bryce Young, I think things would be different. Do I think that CJ Stroud would be a top 5 quarterback in Carolina? No. The situation in Carolina is a lot different than the situation in Houston, but there are more things that are working out there. But well, we're going to monitor this, because I do think it's a good possibility that Bryce Young is gone. So at Gooch, I think the owner is a problem. Carolina is a warm, beautiful city, less media presence. It would be, if I was a player or coach, it would be a great place to be the owner. Yeah, it is. And one thing is that agents like star players to go to major media markets. I brought this up a few times. I haven't brought this up in a while, and I want to make sure I'm hit all my comments. I'll try to keep this rant to a minimum. Agents make 2% on NFL contracts, if that. Some agents actually do NFL contracts for free, but where agents make their money is on endorsements and commercials. Agents get anywhere from 50 to 75% of commercials. So when you see, when you remember Aaron Rodgers, the discount double check, like his agent's getting paid. Patrick Mahomes and those 4 million commercials that he's on, his agent's getting paid. It's the agents that get paid on the commercials, not the contracts. So when you have a star player that goes to a small media market, your Green Bays, your even Houston's a smaller market. Agents kind of try to swing you towards a major media market, because there's money involved. Some players want to go to a larger media market. I think Aaron Rodgers wanted to go from Green Bay to New York, and I think Aaron Rodgers is thinking, hey, I want to do TV afterwards. So there's a lot of factors, but a bad owner really hurts things. And I do think that he's going to kind of take a step back going forward. At least that's what I'd recommend. Dan Morgan is a former Carolina Panthers player. I forget what he was doing before he took over, but I mean, he's really widely respected around the league, and it's a smart dude. So I think that they have some pieces in play in that front office. I do think Carolina this year is going to be a bad team, and I think next year they're going to need some help in the draft, but I think they could possibly be on the right path. Over under on the Finns backup playing well for the Finns. It's kind of funny. I had Pete from Pete's Takes. You said, welcome to Skylar Thompson era. I actually think that there's a good chance Skylar Thompson could play decent. He's a big athletic kid. I watched him play at K-State. One thing about K-State is that they like their quarterbacks to run. They've always been that way. He's got a big arm. You've heard me, Perry, well enough. He's not that guy. It's like, ding, 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 ding. You've heard me say this several times. He's not going to be like, that guy that you want throwing the ball 50 plus times a game, but he does have a good arm, and he does have some mobility. He's pretty good at athleticism. One thing about Miami is that, you got Devin A-Chain, who's a threat to score anywhere on the field. You got some really good weapons in Waddle and Tyreek Hill. I couldn't give you a specific number. It would not surprise me if he plays well against Seattle. it would not surprise me at all if he plays well against Seattle. Okay, so I haven't put any bets down. Perry asked a fantastic question. I was working on this before the show because I took all my point spreads from my video I released Tuesday, went to BetUS right before the show went on, and I wanted to go look at the differences because I want to take a look at the way the betting public is going for the week. 2 games I really like, and I'm going to reveal them now. Look, let's be very clear. I'm a Chiefs fan. I'm a Chiefs fan. I said this earlier, and it's happened. The line went from Atlanta being a 4.5-point home dog to 3. I was really thinking about putting Kansas City if it got down to 3.5. It's 3. Okay. I like Kansas City to cover 3 in Atlanta on Sunday night. Here's my logic. Pittsburgh destroyed them. I think it was 18-10, but the defense just absolutely destroyed Atlanta. Kirk Cousins is a pocket passer. He didn't look comfortable. People are questioning him, and then all of a sudden, the second half, or actually the last drive of the game, he does a good job against Philly. The Chiefs defense right now today is better than the Eagles defense. It may not be as good as Pittsburgh's, but can Chris Jones have the same type of impact on a game that TJ Watt did? That's not me being a homer. It's really not. I got George Karlaftis. I got Chris Jones. I got a creative, defensive-minded coach in Steve Spagnuolo. I kind of like that Chiefs defense against Atlanta. I really do. I think that's a favorable matchup. I understand Atlanta in that final drive of the game got 22 points. They got 10 points against Pittsburgh. That's 32 total. 32 divided by 2 is 16. So 16 points a game. Okay? I got one of the better defenses in the National Football League in Kansas City. I also got Kansas City. I got a quarterback who I will tell you is the best player in football coming off maybe his worst game. I got a Hall of Fame tight end who had 1 catch for 5 yards. You know what happened last week? Despite all these bad things, the Chiefs still won. But they won in a way that they could sit here and they could say, hey, look, we got some things to work on. They're not rolling their helmets into Atlanta. I mean, they're not going to overlook Atlanta. I mean, if they beat Cincinnati by a couple of touchdowns, I'd be like, maybe. Atlanta's coming off a short week. I think there's legitimate concerns about the offense, and the Chiefs defense, or the Chiefs offense, which put up 26 against a pretty good Bengals defense, still has some major question marks. Juju Smith-Schuster is going to be more involved. Travis Kelce's went public saying, I need to do better. He probably will. I like Kansas City to cover 3. I really do. I think it's going to be a good game. Do I think Kansas City's a better team? Yeah. So usually as a general rule of thumb, take the better team, the better coach, the better quarterback. Does anybody really think Atlanta's a better team than Kansas City? Week 1, if Baltimore played Atlanta, who wins that game? I watched Pittsburgh beat the crap out of Atlanta week 1 and won by 8, but people are telling me Kansas City can't do the same thing and instead of winning by 8, just win by 3. Really? Pittsburgh's that much better than Kansas City. All right. Kansas City covering 3. I really like that game. Really like that game. I also really like it. It was 1. Now it's jumped up to 2. I really like Pittsburgh. I know I spent a lot of time talking about Dobbins, but I mean, Pittsburgh's at home. That defense is really good. And I know Joe Alt's played phenomenal, lights out, against Max Crosby. And he's looked really, really good. It's still a different deal in Pittsburgh. It's still a little different in Pittsburgh. You know, TJ Watt and all those guys and Tomlin. You have a banged up quarterback. I'm still not sold on the Chargers. I'm not sold on the Steelers either, but I like Steelers at home. The line was 1, now it's 2. If you want to be a weenie, you can take the money line. 2's safe. Those are the 2 games. Some other games I'm kind of iffy on. Tennessee's a 3-point favorite. I think Green Bay wins outright. I have no faith in Tennessee being any good. I'm going to lay off of that game because I know Malik Willis is the backup quarterback. I know he's coming back to Tennessee. I have a feeling Green Bay is going to win that game, and I can get 3 points. I like Baltimore at Dallas too. I think the matchup favors Baltimore. I just have a hard time picturing Baltimore starting the season 0-3. I don't have that hard of a time picturing Dallas starting 1-2. Those are 2 games that I really like. Another game that I think it could be a high-scoring game, but I got a feeling it's going to be a lower-scoring game than people think. It's going to be Arizona and Detroit. I got the over-under was at 52.5. Now it's 51.5. I could easily see that being a shootout. Don't get me wrong. I kind of got a feeling that game might hit the under. Not going to put action on that one. I also I got a feeling Carolina, the line opened up at 5.5. It's now 6. I think Carolina can cover 6 in Vegas. I don't know that. I'm not super confident. But I one thing I will say is that the Panthers, it's Panthers have a bad defense. The Raiders have a bad offense. I think the Panthers offense will be a little better. The over-under was at 40.5. It's now 40. Getting over 41, I mean, 24-21, you cover by 5. 24-17, that gets you 41. I mean, I kind of like that. So I kind of like the over on that one. But the 2 games, I haven't put the bets down yet. Pittsburgh, when I was looking at last night, was at 1. It just jumped from 1 to 2. I'm trying to think here is like in a matter of 10 hours. So, I mean, something big happened. I mean, it could be news about Herbert not practicing. That's a lot to do with it. But I do really like Pittsburgh at home to cover 2. I think it's safe, and I really think Kansas City will cover 3. If it stays at 3, I'm probably going to put that. I'm probably going to make that bet. If it goes to 3.5, I may hold off and wait till I see something a little better. There's a few games this week I like. I haven't put any action down though. Perry says, remember, guys, to like and subscribe and use BetUS if you need to bet. It will help Dan out. It will help me out. Full disclosure, I have an affiliation with BetUS, so when you make a deposit of $100 or more, I do get a cut from BetUS. Now, keep in mind, I made a $100 deposit. You can take a look at the video below. I walk you through how I did it. They have a really good promotion right now. Your first 3 deposits, they promote a 125% bonus. And what it is, you get a 100% and then you get a 25% bonus in casino chips. They have another option where you get 20%. I think it's up to 2,500. It's just free money. So my $100 deposit was $120. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Right now, I put $100 into BetUS. I set up an account before the season started. They gave me a $25 bet on the Hall of Fame game. I hit that. Plus with that 20, plus with the 2 bets I hit on. Right now, my $100 deposit, I have over 190 in my BetUS account. So I'm leaning on this year. I'm only making $25 bets. But that's what I'm doing. Right now, I'm leaning towards Kansas City to cover 3 and Pittsburgh to cover 2. Those are 2 games I'm probably going to put action on. Some other games I do like. I'm leaning towards the over on Raiders-Panthers. Leaning towards the under on Lions-Cardinals. I mean, I just got a feeling this could end up being a type of game where you have both coaches kind of you have Gannon, who's a former defensive coordinator, you have Campbell, who I think maybe wants to run the ball a little more. I could see this being one of those games that ends up being like 24-17. I think it could end up being a very low scoring game, just a hunch. There's enough talent on both teams, or it could be a high-scoring game. I like Baltimore to cover 1 in Dallas. I'm not going to bet it, but Buffalo covering 5 on Monday night against Jacksonville, a team that's just looked terrible, I wouldn't hate. And, general rule of thumb, if you like a team to win outright and you can get points, that's always a good move. I think Green Bay is going to win outright in Tennessee. I think Tennessee's a bad team. I like their defense. Here's the drill. I really think that if Green Bay can get 17 to 20 points, I think they could win. Denver Gator, don't get mad. Denver Gator, don't get mad. I really think it's just a matter of time before Will Levis gets benched. No faith in Will Levis. No faith in Will Levis. I have more faith on Malik Willis in a handful of weeks in Green Bay than Will Levis in that current offensive system in Tennessee. Full disclosure, I like Tennessee's defense a little better. Green Bay has so many more weapons. I like both Musgrave and Kraft. They're second year tight ends. Watson, Dobbs, Reed. I like those receivers. And coach, I think, is much better. A lot of things to like about Green Bay in that game. A lot of things. And there was rumors that Love will play. I don't think he will. I mean, so ESPN reports. So ESPN, this is off ESPN. This is this morning. Jordan Love is questionable. Do I think he's going to play? No, I do not. But he's listed questionable. Do I think he'll play? No. Guys need to tighten up their helmet. Daniel said, yeah. So for whatever, I remember I played football and we used to have these helmets and it would crush your head. Everybody would have these giant red marks right here. And it used to hurt like hell. But it like literally you didn't even need a chin strap because it just compressed your head. And the thing is though, like it hurt like hell for a couple days and you got used to it. But like it was fun. I remember one dude like he had like for this like whole circle on his forehead just broke out. And but it worked. And I don't know why they don't do that in the NFL. That the helmets just pop off all the time. Yeah. I seriously would not be surprised if the Patriots package a second and a third round pick to get back into the first round, like in the 20s, and double dip with 2 offensive linemen in round 1. Denver Gator says, Perry, I believe the NFL has a Panther problem starting with the owner. Owner will never let that team be good in a direct with his direct involvement. Very good point. Guys, I'm going to take a very, very fast commercial break as we get ready for the final hour of Afternoon Delight. Stay tuned. I will be right back. Sunday Night Football is going to be a good one as the Kansas City Chiefs travel to Atlanta to play the Falcons. Hopefully you can join the fun as we will do live play-by-play reaction to what is going to be a really great game on Sunday Night Football. Join the fun Sunday night as we live stream Chiefs Falcons on Sunday Night Football both on YouTube and Twitch. I hope to see you live on Sunday night. This year, Dan Talks Football has teamed up with BetUS. I made a video showing my first $100 deposit. It was fast and easy. Sign up with the link below in the description and start winning today. Now let me finish fixing my hair and we will get back to more Afternoon Delight. Yes! Oh man. Final hour of Afternoon Delight is here. Again, I apologize for being a little late. It couldn't be helped, unfortunately. By the way, not only will I be doing Chiefs Falcons live on YouTube and Twitch, I'll be streaming on both YouTube and Twitch. If you have any questions that I missed today, you can drop a comment below on YouTube. You can DM me on either X or Twitter, whichever one, Instagram, or you can go old school, email me at dantalksfootball@yahoo. Depending on what part of the country you're at, I'll get back to you either Friday night or Saturday very early in the morning, but I will get back to you. If you hit me up Saturday, same situation, I'll get back to you Saturday evening or very early Sunday. I will have my phone completely shut off Sunday. So if you have a question Sunday, I won't turn on my phone. I'll have it all shut off. I'm basically just going to watch football until I get ready to go on live for Chiefs Falcons. So if you have a game time decision on Sunday, I'm going to start the live stream about 5 minutes early. That will be the soonest you would be able to get a hold of me on Sunday. But if you have to get a hold of me today, I will get back to you later on. More than likely, it'll be in the evening. Maybe, depending on what part of the country you're on, it'll be Saturday morning. Same thing with Saturday. So, Dan, do we think of Alex Van Pelt being the offensive coordinator for the Patriots so far? I don't have too much of a problem with it. You got to fix the offensive line. They need some players. I'm going to give you the weenie answer of incomplete. Incomplete. Oh, wow. I got a lot of questions. Denver Gator, do you think the GM and coaches have a chance to turn it around in Carolina? Do you think McVay could develop young? I think McVay could develop young. And former NFL quarterback, I can't believe I forgot his name, Chase Daniels. He's on a great show. I forget what it is. I've been following him on social media. He came up with this nice 3-way trade where I'm trying to remember. It was a 3-way trade. Stafford ends up in Miami. Bryce Young ends up with the Rams. And I forget the third team that was involved. But, yeah. I think McVay could develop Young. I think there's a handful of coaches that could develop Young. I mean, I don't think he's lost cause at all. I think he's just put in a bad situation. Take a look at Baker Mayfield. Remember, he was number 1 overall pick in Cleveland, showed some flashes, and then his combination of injuries and him being a little greedy. Not exactly the same type of situation, but you saw where he had to go to Tampa, and he signed a nice contract this offseason. So bad situation there in Carolina. I'm not sold. I'm not sold on Bryce Young. I'm going to be very clear. I'm not sold on Bryce Young. He's also in a bad situation. I think a guy like Trey Lance, if he ever gets another chance to be a starter, he may be able to do some things in the right offense. There's a handful of teams in the NFL I think they could use a guy like Bryce Young. I'll throw out a complete dark horse here. When if after the season's over, Bryce Young ends up in Pittsburgh? Why not? They're not going to go with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. Both of them are on 1-year deals. What if you're Pittsburgh? Wouldn't it be better to bring in a guy like Bryce Young for a 3rd or 4th round pick with that offensive line that's developing, and then use your 1st round pick? You can get him another receiver to pair with Pickens. Do you think that would work? Yeah, that would work. Let me throw that out there. I see I'm really behind on comments here, so I'm going to do my best to answer them all before we end the show today. Jonathan Mato, what's up, brother? Murray over 33.5 rushing yards. Ooh. Daniel Jones under 184.5 passing yards. Godwin over 39.5. Henry over 49.5. Saquon over 49.5 rushing yard. Ayuk. Yeah, I'm going to throw this out there because there's a lot of channels that do parlay bets. A lot of people do that. Something I never recommend. Are you doing a parlay on all of these, or you just want them all individual? Let me just give you all individual. Detroit against scrambling quarterbacks, kind of like that. Daniel Jones under 184.5. I get why you say that. You're in Cleveland, brutal defense, could get benched, may have to run the ball. That's just such a low number in an NFL game. I get why you would do that. Don't like it. Godwin over 39.5. I really like. Derrick Henry over 49.5. Should happen. I really don't like the way that they're using Derrick Henry in Baltimore, but I mean, last week, 18 for 84, I think it was, off the top of my head. And Raiders have a tougher rushing defense than Dallas. I like Derrick Henry over 49.5. Saquon Barkley over 49.5 yards rushing. Yeah, I like that a lot. Ayuk over 49.5. Probably has to happen. Everybody's banged up. The only one I don't like, and I can see hitting, would be the Daniel Jones under 184.5. It's just you're in an NFL offense. I mean, even in Cleveland, I haven't even checked the weather report, but I mean, don't get me wrong, if I had to choose over under 184.5 for Daniel Jones at Cleveland, I'm leaning towards the under. Don't like it. The rest of them I think are solid. Murray over 33.5. I mean, it's a big number, believe it or not, but I do like it. I don't know how long you've been following my show, but if you're doing like a parlay with all 6 of these, I get it. I never recommend it. But I will say this, like the Godwin, the Henry, the Saquon, and the Ayuk, I like all of those quite a bit. Jonathan, do you know what Connor's over-under yards are? I think only one or two of the running backs has hit over the last 2 years against Detroit. That's an interesting fact. Funk, welcome to the show, man. Young to the Titans. I'll be honest with you. I don't hate that at all because of the offense that they're running makes a lot of sense. It would make a lot of sense. It really, really would. Do I think they'll do it? No, I think Tennessee, what they're going to do is try to get a big name in the draft. I don't think they want to. If I was Tennessee, I would after the season's over, I would really consider this because I think this would be a genius move because you would be able to get Bryce Young, 3rd or 4th round draft pick. You're keep in mind you want to offer a 4th because it's going to be a very high 4th. You may have to offer a 3rd and like maybe get a 5th in return, which by the way I think that's a win-win for everybody. You put Young in an offense that he has some chances to succeed in. You give Carolina a little more draft capital because they're going to have to draft a quarterback, plus they're going to have to draft a lot of defensive players. Do I think it'll happen? No, I don't. Does it make sense? Should it happen? Yes. I think it'd be genius. Perry, I don't believe anyone. Do you remember though? People said the same thing about Cleveland, and then finally they got it right. Me and you remember the Bengals when they were called the Bungles. They finally got it right. Sometimes things happen. So I don't think the NFL should, but it's happened before. They did the same thing in Washington. So what it is, Perry, is I've been wanting to do an afternoon show for a while. I decided to do it this year. Unfortunately, I can't do YouTube full time, so I have a full-time job. The full-time job I have, they allow semi-flexible scheduling. It's kind of an issue I'm having because I work basically full-time, and then I try to do a show full-time, and there's been some problems early on. But right after the show, I go directly to work. So Tuesday through Friday, I finish the show. I literally just change clothes and go directly to work. It's been kind of a problem, so far. So in a perfect world, I don't have to work as much, but until the YouTube channel kind of blows up, I'm working more. This was kind of a long-term plan. It kind of worked out. I ideally want to do more Sunday night, Monday night football games. That possible down the line. I also want to do other videos. Like I would love to do a video just on some of these primetime games, some of the games I'm betting on. Like I would love to do a video of why I like Pittsburgh over the Chargers, the matchups I like. I would love to do a weekly Chiefs video, just a 5 to 10 minute video just on the Chiefs game and the upcoming matchups and things I'm looking for. I would love to do more shorts. I would love to do more just pure betting content. With as much engagement as I'm getting in the fantasy football, I'd love to get out more fantasy football videos. I'm really hoping down the line I can do that. This year, I wanted to do 8 division videos before the season started. I kept on thinking I could do it, and I couldn't do it. I was just working too much. But during the football season, I'm going to do Afternoon Delight. After the season's over, I'm going to have to figure some things out. But we'll have to wait and see. But I do miss going on Friday nights. That's been kind of my staple for a long time. And But I'm trying something new with Afternoon Delight. So far, it's been pretty good. So far, it's been pretty good. I do admit I dropped the ball by showing up late today, but hopefully that won't happen again. Hopefully you can forgive me, man. And just do after the light months to Thursday in the afternoons. After football season, I'm going to figure some things out. But we'll see for the next for until the regular season's over. I'm going to be live Monday through Friday, 1 to 4 Vegas time, 4 to 7 Eastern time, and we'll kind of go from there. But I mean, nothing's set in stone right now. Connor is 60.5. That's an interesting. I had no idea that no running back hit the over for the last 2 years against the Lions. I had no clue. That's a fantastic stat. By the way, I don't know if I would touch that number. I'll be honest though. I could see Connor getting 61. Good chance Tepper is the reason Ben Johnson decided to come back the day after he interviewed in Carolina. You know, it's funny. I'm going old school here. I remember Tepper announced that he was going to take Andrew Luck as the number 1 pick in the draft. And then the very next day, Andrew Luck said he was returning to Stanford for his senior season, which you remember he was going to be the number 1 pick in the draft junior or senior year. And then Cam Newton was the number 1 pick. But he announced, he was public. He's like, yeah, I'll take Andrew Luck number 1, come to Carolina. You're going to be the pick. And Andrew Luck's like, you know, I'm just going to head back to Stanford one more year. And it was kind of an under-reported story, but I remember that very, very distinctively. I also think that there's a good chance Canales was given the job because Ben Johnson, Vrabel, Belichick, trying to think of who else was a big candidate, just said no. Matt Rule, remember Matt Rule before they hired Canales? Matt Rule, he was a college coach. He came out of nowhere. So this could be a good situation. This could be a good indicator. Maybe Ben Johnson was the option, and they brought him down there, and Ben Johnson's like, no, this sucks. Now, I'm in a good spot here in Detroit. No, I'm good. Find out. Okay, I think you put this before here. Take that under. Let me know if you do, man. Let me know if you do. What are your thoughts on Sunday's game for us? What are your keys to the game? What are your consensus? And if the Lions lose this game, is there a problem? Okay, if the Lions lose the game, there is a problem, but it's not the end of the world. And I'll tell you why. Minnesota, I do predict will lose that game to Houston. So you're only 1 game behind Minnesota, and you still play them twice. Okay. Chicago, great defense. I think the offense is bad. Green Bay, you know, even if they are 2-1, it's not the end of the world. So 1 and 2, is there a problem? No, but it's not ideal. I mean, you went into the season as a heavy favorite, and it's human nature to play better when you're an underdog. The Lions look like a team that if they're the underdog, I like them better, but when they're the favorite, they don't seem to be handling that well. I remember Riverboat Ron Riviera, after that 15-1 season, they won 6 games the next year. And all that Riverboat Ron stuff, while it was great when they're winning, it was hated on when they were losing. And a lot of people also think that Ben Johnson's offense, you get a full season to look at it. It's like, okay, we know what you're doing now. If the Lions lose, is there a problem? It's not ideal, not a problem. I don't think that they will panic. The one thing I'll say about Dan Campbell is that I don't think he's the type of coach that you goes 1-2, 1-3, 2-3, 2-4, and just panic. I don't see that at all. That's one thing I will give a positive to, is that I can see the Lions kind of regrouping. Okay. Keys to the game. The biggest key, the number one, I'm going to be honest, I don't know if it's the key to the game, but the number one thing I want to watch is Terrion Arnold against Marvin Harrison Jr. And by the way, I think I saw something Terrion Arnold didn't practice yesterday. You guys have to let me know. I want to see one of the top prospects at corner go against one of the top prospects at receiver. That to me is going to be a lot of fun. I want to see both teams defensively because the Cardinals had a bad defense last year. They used a lot of draft capital and free agency to kind of upgrade that defense. First couple weeks of the season, I have some questions about the Cardinals defense. The Lions, I've been adamant over the years that I'm not sold on Aaron Glenn. I think both teams have fun offenses. There's some questions on Arizona's offensive line. I would like to see Detroit be less creative and more smash mouth. You have two really good running backs. You have a really good offensive line. You have weapons at receiver, so you can't stack the box. I would like to see Detroit get a little less creative and more physical. That's what I would like to see. But I want to see how both offenses play against both of these defenses, and both these defenses, I think, have legitimate concerns. Kyler Murray is he going to have one of those 300, 100-yard days? I could see. By the way, if he does 3-1, which is 100% possible, fantasy football owners are going to love Kyler Murray. By the way, that's completely possible. Win or lose, Detroit shouldn't panic. But listen, 2-1, you're in good shape. You're in good shape, especially when I think the Vikings are going to lose, and I think the Bears. I think there's a very good chance. I actually, I'll be honest with you, I picked the Bears to win, but I don't think the Bears are really a threat. Could change things around. They have a good defense. You never know. Green Bay, until Love comes back, you don't really have to worry about them. Look, if Minnesota goes 3-0. Especially beating Houston and San Francisco, yeah, you got that's a team to worry about. But I think at the end of this week, I think you'll probably be sitting at 2-1, tied with the Vikings, and you'll be like, okay, yeah, we're good. I hope that answered your question. Kids are driving you crazy. I can see that. I thought our O-line needs to look better. That's true. And Goff needs to stop changing the play and just run what's called the offensive struggles. Again, there might be and by the way, I do want to see Detroit stop being creative and be more physical. I think that's important. Funk, I don't know how Baker Mayfield just got 37 rushing yards on the Lions. I feel like if he can do like Kyler Murray can get 34, I do believe that. I do like the Kyler Murray getting 33.5 yards rushing. I do like that. I do like that. The slaps are not blaming Goff, guys, to be more. Oh, you guys go up slappies. Jonathan Murray hits over and leads the team in rushing. I could see that. Pass rusher is Hutchinson and nothing else. There are so many guys around Baker, and he just moved around the pocket and made plays. Lions can't stop him. Mobile quarterback. I think Murray will have a great day. McBride. There's a lot of people asking me about McBride, and I think McBride will have a good day. I'm dying to see Terrion Arnold play against Harrison Jr. The way things are, I haven't signed up for a Sunday ticket yet. I'm trying to avoid it. I don't want to spend extra money. But the afternoon game is definitely going to be Carolina and Vegas. So I can't watch Arizona and Detroit, but I will be trying my best to check out the red zone because, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I mean, Carolina and Vegas, like, I mean, the early game, I'm assuming I'm going to see Chargers Pittsburgh, but I don't know. I'm buying the Sunday ticket. I'm just stalling on it because I don't want to spend the money. I hate to admit it, coaches and players will avoid Carolina. I don't think the NFL will force Tepper to sell. I don't think they will either, at least not right away. And it did take a long time for them to force Daniel Snyder to sell. And they were way worse. And who wants to invest $6 billion in that market? That's a good point. I mean, one thing with Washington, you're in a major media market. Carolina isn't. But now Tepper's going to be there for a while. Levi's played really well. That's a big plus. And so is Davenport. Having those guys play well is good. Hutch just has results in the sack column. Just because you don't have sacks doesn't mean you're doing well. 100% correct, Funk's on fire. If you find out Levy is healthy and Reader's getting back in form, you think pass rush will do better. Elias, I got an ugly question dealing with a lot of injuries. Should I start Austin Eckler, Myers, Dobbs, or Wendell Robinson? Listen, this is part of it. I would avoid Wendell Robinson. I hated. Oh, wait a minute. You got Christian Watson? I get why you can't start Watson or Dobbs. Yeah, I mean, Willis was only 10 out of 12 last week, and I could see him running the ball and doing the same thing. Jacoby Myers, I get. I'm gonna be honest. I just, it's not Wendell Robinson. I hated the fact because he was, I think, the 43rd overall pick. I remember the Giants traded down twice in the second round, and at the time they had Kadarius Toney, and I was like, why are you drafting a lesser version at 43 when you have so many holes on that team? Because he's 175 pound, punt kick return type of dude. I think he had a touchdown last week, or I was it last week against Washington or something. Yeah, last week against Washington, I think he had a touchdown. So that's why you're thinking about him. In my opinion, I really think that you got to go with Eckler, and I'll tell you why. I mean, Eckler's a really good player who I think they figured it out. Needs to be more of a receiver than a runner. I'm assuming you're in a PPR league. Let me just throw that out there. I'm assuming you're in a PPR league. They're using Eckler more in the passing game. You could get a garbage time touchdown. Keep in mind, if this game gets out of hand, I could see them going, we'll keep Robinson. We want to keep Robinson healthy for the rest of the season because he's kind of the workhorse back, and using Eckler in garbage time situations, even though they gave Eckler some money. I would go with Eckler in this situation. You could get a garbage time touchdown. If this game's a blowout, Eckler's the guy that could end up getting you remember A-Chain, how he got a bunch of garbage time touches. I could see the same type of situation with Eckler. Like let's say this game's like 27-7. Eckler may get like five receptions in the fourth quarter for 30, 40 yards, maybe a garbage time touchdown. And you may end up getting 15, 20 points. I would lean towards Eckler. I really like running backs that get a lot of receptions, and Washington's, I think, figuring out that he needs to be more of a slot receiver than a running back. So go with Eckler, and I hope you win. I really do. Mateo says Dobbs. And by the way, here's a drill. If by the way, Jordan Love starts, go with Watson. I don't expect Jordan Love to. So I think the defense has played well and actually be decent this year. And Hutch will get back in the stock column again this week. He's playing against he is playing against another backup right tackle. Love's questionable, but I really don't think he's going to play, but he's listed as questionable. Sorry. I'm going to do my best to get all these comments. I'm going to start kind of rapid firing through some of these because I see some really good questions I want to nail before. Cliff, by the way, man, it's good to see you again. Drop me a comment if you need question of a specific game. But I like Kansas City to cover 3 and Pittsburgh to cover 2. Those are the 2. So I haven't seen Cliff in a while. Let me make sure I got all these questions here. Sweat's looking good for the Titans. That's a kind of a pleasant surprise. Saif, I believe I'm pronouncing this right, Navi. Trade Jordan Mason, Jonathan Brooks for A-Chain, no. And I'll tell you why. A-Chain had his best game of the season. The way I understand, Mozart isn't going to play. By the way, you may hate me this week if A-Chain blows up, but Jordan Mason's going to give you a lot of production. I absolutely don't do this, okay? I think A-Chain has his best game of the season last week. I expect they're talking about Wright getting more involved in the offense. I expect Wilson to be used more. I don't know why he wasn't used more last week. Here's the drill. Jordan Mason, I haven't looked at the injury report for San Francisco. There's so many players that are hurt. Kittle may be out. Samuel's out. CMC's going to be out he's on the IR, but he could be out longer. By the time CMC comes back, Jordan Brooks is possibly going to be a must start. Don't make this move. I get why you would, because you're looking at A-Chain's 30 plus touches, home run speed. I get it. Don't do it. You listen, start Mason this week. You're going to thank me. Hold on to Jonathan Brooks, because when he does get into the lineup, he could be something special. He was really exciting in Texas. He looked like a first round pick. He tore his ACL late, but everything I'm hearing is that his recovery is fine. And his recovery is good. And another thing is, I've said this many times, I firmly believe that when Andy Dalton gets put in that offense, it's going to look completely different. I think it's going to look completely different for Carolina. I really do. Then you add Jordan Brooks, who's a legitimate starting running back in this league. Like, when Jordan Brooks finally starts to play, you're going to thank me for holding on to him, because this is a guy that you may end up starting every week. So do not make this trade. I get why you want to. Please don't. If you do make it, best of luck. I won't be mad at you. My goal is to get everybody to win their fantasy football leagues. So. Do you think the Titans will be 0-5 in their first 5 games? I have no faith in the Titans winning any games this year. And if the Titans go 0-5 to the owner clean house at the end of the season, I think they will. I think Callahan was a mistake. I think Callahan and Levis was a mistake. They spent a ton of money in free agency, and they got a bunch of mismatched pieces. I think they made a big mistake. And I think they will clean house. And I think they'll make a lot of moves and a lot of trades. You remember when Flores took over Miami and they traded Tunsil, and then like the next week they traded Fitzpatrick, and they wanted all the number ones, and remember the tank for Tua? Like, I think something like that will happen in Tennessee. I think that they'll just have a fire sale and get rid of everybody and just try to build right into it. I have no faith Tennessee is going to be good at all this year. Oh, this is easy. Shakir Sanders. I hope, I know you put this in again. I just want to make sure I have this right. I feel good about all of these except for the Daniel Jones number. If you're doing a parlay, I strongly recommend against it. I will say this, your final 4, the Godwin, the Henry, the Saquon, and the Ayuk, I feel really good about. I'm pretty sure Kyler Murray will get over 33.5 rushing yards. I'm pretty sure about that. The Daniel Jones number, and asking an NFL quarterback to throw under 185, even in an outdoor stadium, possible weather issue, against really good defense. I mean, that's tough to do, man. It's just tough to do. Laporta's that's a good question. Trade question. Would I trade McConkey and Nasheed for JSM and Rome full PPR dynasty? Ooh, a dynasty. 100%. And I'll tell you why it's a dynasty is that Keenan Allen's not staying in Chicago long term. Okay. Roma Duze is going to be the number one guy, and I know they gave DJ Moore a ton of money. I get that. I really do. While I have no faith in Caleb Williams, Roma Duze is a guy I just have. Roma Duze is a much higher. McConkey, they're talking about him. I don't think he's ever going to be a dude. JSN, Tyler Lockett's a guy that is 33. He's have some injury issues. DK Metcalf, that great size speed, doesn't really pan out. JSN will be the number one guy. You have the potential for two legitimate number ones for guys that aren't going to be. I don't care what people are saying about McConkey. He's not going to be the number one guy. Shaheed, he's a deep threat. He's also going to have one of these streaks where he'll go 4 to 6 weeks because teams will. Yeah, I'm a Chiefs fan. Okay, so the Chiefs with Tyreek Hill. You know how you defeat that. You play a lot cover 2, and that's by the way, that's how you defend against it. What the Saints have been doing is they go deep early in games, strike you with the deep threat, and they're using Alvin Kamara. But there will be a stretch where Shaheed goes with almost nothing. Make this move. JSN and Roma Duze are guys that you want to keep in a dynasty league, unless you have some other receiving options that are better. Both these guys are long-term answers, and I'll be honest with you, Shaheed's a guy. Yeah, he had probably his best couple weeks right now. Olave is going to take over as the number one guy sooner or later. There's a lot of noise around me. Hopefully you guys aren't a little distracted. Just Dre, what's up, brother? What's up? I was hoping to catch you today. Should I start Worthy or Jalen Naylor at my flex this week? Hold on here. I just heard something about Jalen Naylor. I think it was Jalen Naylor. Hold on here. I'm almost positive. I'm almost positive about this here. Hold on. Okay. For some reason or another, I remember hearing something on the news about Jalen Naylor. That's why I was hold on here. I thought I heard something about Jalen Naylor, and I'm waiting to hear about that right now. Okay. No, I don't know why. Okay. All right. Here's your situation. Naylor is Jordan Addison's out. Justin Jefferson banged up. I fully expect him to play. Oh yeah. And here's the deal with Worthy. Worthy is a guy that I think. Look, here's the deal with Worthy. The Chiefs really only want to get him like 4 to 6 touches a game, and that's it. Could be running the ball, could be throwing the ball. I firmly believe the Chiefs want to get Juju Smith-Schuster more involved in this offense. I think the Chiefs in this particular matchup are going to try to get their tight ends more involved, specifically Kelsey. Could Worthy get a touchdown? Sure. but you may be in a situation where Worthy gets like 3 targets and doesn't even. There is a legitimate concern you get nothing with Worthy. If you're in a, let me ask you this here. I 100% agree with you 100%. Let me just throw this out. If you're projected to win big, like 20 or 30 points, and you're thinking to yourself, you know what? I get a long touchdown with Worthy. I get that. I here's the deal though. Atlanta's secondary is really, really good. And I really think the Chiefs want to get I really think the Chiefs really want to use their tight ends. I do expect them to take a deep shot with Worthy, but I could easily see this be a game where Worthy 2 touches like 10 yards or nothing. Naylor, there's a 0%. You're getting something with Naylor. Yeah, I'm leaning towards Naylor too. Laporta over under 44.5. Oh, I like that. I like that. At Slasher Laporta, game 1, 45 yards. So that's a guy you guys have to tell me, but I really think Detroit needs to get him more involved in the offense. I think it's a big deal. I think it's an important deal. You guys tell me. Jasmine Gray. Jaden Daniels will throw for 3+ passing yards with over 47.5. Can you? I'm assuming you mean 3 passing touchdowns, which would be huge, and the rushing yardage is 47.5. Can you just clarify that? I want to make sure I'm getting the right information because 3+ passing. I'm assuming touchdowns, which I would be floored, and then over 47.5 yard rushing. 47.5 yards rushing. I could see, even though if I am Cliff Kingsbury, I'm not having him run the ball nearly that much. But can you clarify that? I just want to make sure I'm getting the right information. Laporta's in a slump or Johnson not using Laporta right. I think the bet is risky unless they do a $1 or $2 type of bet. I think Funk was telling me that Laporta had an injury that he's still recovering from. I need help. Golf just checked down. Okay. Golf seems to be a problem right now. He didn't have a good game. The one thing I want to emphasize is that I know they're missing a bunch of players. That's a well coached, very good defense you went against. Arizona, I think they're doing some good things in the desert. I really think they're doing some good things in the desert. That said, I'm not sold on their defense. I got a feeling this. I think I predicted 24-20. I like the under on this game. I could really see a situation where both defenses come ready to play. And I could also see a situation where both offenses say, hey, look, let's run the ball. Let's control the clock. Let's not let the pass rush, force a turnover or a bad play. I think one of you guys was bringing back that when Goff got his money in the Rams, his play went down. It was actually funny. It was like his third or fourth year, he had his best year. And then it just it was like he had his third or fourth year was his best. And he had a down year. And then he came back, had a decent year. And then it just started to go down. And I never really understood it, but there was a rift. And then, McVay's like, look, can I get Stafford? You want 2 number ones and Goff, sure, whatever. Just let's get rid of him. And Goff, let's face it, I mean, he's been 2-0 against his former team. Correct. Was there another game, but I think 2-0 against his former team. Look, if you're one of these Goff fans that you're trying to tell me Goff's elite, you're going to be disappointed. I mean, I've never said that he's elite. I think at the very best, he's at the bottom of the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL. Does he make that list? Maybe, but he's somewhere between 8 and 10. Like that's the absolute best, and I'm not even sure I put him in the top 10. I keep hearing things like, leader, fans love him, players love him, coaches love him. Okay, great. What I saw was not good, and I expected a huge game against a depleted Bucs team. That said, that's a good football team. That looked really ready to play you guys. Another thing is that and I brought this up many times, it's so much easier to be an underdog than it is to be favored. Do you have the right coaching staff that can handle a good team that's favored to win week in and week out? I'm gonna level with you, and you may not like this, but I think that was the reason why you guys beat the Chiefs week 1, is the Chiefs didn't come out with the same level of intensity that the Lions did. The Chiefs really didn't handle being a favorite for a large part of the regular season. They were 10-7. They had to go on the road to play Buffalo. They had to go on the road to play Baltimore. They're underdogs in both games. It's a lot easier to get amped up when you know that people are counting you out. It's a lot different when you're the favorite. Do you have the right coaching staff? We're gonna find out. I expect the Lions to win. I think this is going to be a fun game. I'm really looking forward to it. I will say this: if Goff has the same type of performance against Arizona that he had against Tampa Bay, you could be looking at 1-2, and you may not handle it correctly. We'll find out. I think the Bears made a mistake. Romeo D, they should have taken a tackle at 9 or traded down. Romeo D. Trying to find a response here because I all right, I apologize. I'm missing where I'm missing who made this comment. I can't find it. I really believed, and I said this in multiple mock drafts, at 9 you definitely trade down. And I was looking at Graham Barton, starting center for Tampa Bay, having a really good season. Zach Frazier looks like a Pro Bowl center for Pittsburgh. Fatanu, who's actually hurt, may not start, but he's earned a starting job in Pittsburgh with Zach Frazier. I mean, the Steelers' offensive line went from a bad offensive line to now all of a sudden they look like a good offensive line with 2 rookies. Same thing with Dallas. Tyler Guyton's played really, really well. Remember Tyler Guyton? He was the player that Dallas traded down and still got. What's his name? I'm drawing a blank on the guard. Actually, he's questionable. And it's also funny because he said that he was a tackle. And then the Packers drafted in the first round, said now you're going to play guard. drawing a blank on his name right now. Kid out of Arizona. People are kind of up and down about him. He got benched in the game, but played pretty well against Baltimore. But I got to figure out how to pronounce his name. Sua Matea, Chiefs second round pick, late in the second round, starting left tackle for 15. That's not a bad pick. So there was a lot of offensive linemen that Chicago could have gotten, and yeah, they should have traded down. They should have traded down. They should have built up that interior, and gone from there. Funk, the one thing I will tell you is that they drafted Anthony Wright with the 10th overall pick in last year's draft, and he's actually not playing bad. Your left tackle's not playing bad. Alt doesn't really fit unless you just could have traded Braxton Jones and done this and that and the other. The one thing we completely agree upon is that they should have kept Fields. They should have kept Fields, and then that number one pick in the draft, you could have gotten so much. Washington wanted Williams more than Daniels. I mean, they won't say this publicly, but that's what they wanted. That's why they brought in the USC coach. They were positive they could make that move. It turns out they couldn't. Unless Jaden Daniels ends up being clearly the better player. But yeah, I mean, Washington, you could have gone from 1 to. If I was Chicago, I would have gone from 1 to 2. And then at 2, I would have traded down again with the Raiders at 13. The Raiders were trying really hard. I don't think Max Crosby was involved, but the Raiders were willing to give up an arm and a leg. I think you could have gotten Devontae Adams. You probably couldn't have gotten Max Crosby. You could have got a 1. You could have got Devontae Adams. You probably would have got a number 1 next year. So now all of a sudden you're Chicago. Think about this. You have Devontae Adams. You have Keenan Allen. You have DJ Moore. And then at 13, you take the best available offensive lineman. How great is that? Yeah, I think they should have kept Fields. Fields is getting the 3rd straight start. I haven't even had a chance. I meant to do so much more in today's show, and I'm going to miss it. But, yeah. I forget the kid's name. I say kid, but they wanted Drake May. Their new offensive coordinator was Drake May's high school coach. J.J. McCarthy is the consolation prize. They were convinced that they could move to get Drake May. They really thought, because by the way, if you watch Hard Knocks with the Giants, it sounds like New England was like taking a lot of phone calls for that number 3. And I think that what New England did is they said, look, we probably need at least 2 number 1s. And then Minnesota got them. And then they're like, yeah, me. But they really wanted Drake May, that new offensive coordinator, and I forget his name. I think if I remember correctly, former NFL coach. Maybe he's the quarterback coach. But anyway, he was Drake May's high school coach. And that's the guy they really wanted. The Vikings were trying everything they could. J.J. McCarthy was the consolation prize. And it's funny, I was talking to a Vikings fan, and he was like, hey, what happens if Darnold plays well? And I said, that's a great situation. By the way, if Darnold plays well, if I'm Minnesota, I try really hard to keep him like on a 2-3 year deal and then try to keep McCarthy. And then you see how Jordan Love developed in Green Bay. I would try to do the same thing with McCarthy. McCarthy's a guy I really don't see it. I understand the logic. He looked good at the combine. I'm sure he interviewed well, but I understand you won a national championship by running the ball. But if you have a first round quarterback in your mix and you're leaning on a running game, I know they won a national championship that way, and I know Harbaugh likes to run the ball still. But yeah, you're 100%. They wanted Drake May bad. They settled for McCarthy. The Viking. You're 100%. Funk's on fire, man. Late in the show. I only got 5 minutes left, so I'm gonna make sure I try to answer every single question. But yeah, so it's really funny because I go back to that Burrow, Herbert, Tua draft, and I really didn't rate them. That was the only draft I've ever did where I just didn't rate guys. I just said, if you're the Bengals, Burrow's your number one guy. If you're the Chargers, Herbert was the number one. If you're the Dolphins, Tua was the number one. And I didn't think there was really a wrong, situation for either. I mean, if you're the Chargers, you're moving to LA. Well, the guy that won Rose Bowl MVP, who started 4 years on the West Coast, that's the guy that's going to give you the best chance of putting butts in the seats. If you're Cincinnati, Joe Burrow, local kid, sat on the bench at us. It's kind of funny because it was really weird because Chase Young was number 2. Chase Young actually did play at Ohio State, but there was never any pressure for the Bengals to draft the local kid. But, they spun it around perfectly. And I think that was part of Joe Burrow's management crew, or I say management, agent, things like that. So, and that was the best fit for the Cincinnati Bengals was Joe Burrow. And then Miami Dolphins, we kept on hearing about tank for Tua for forever. And, I get it. That was the guy that they were targeting, It was funny because I remember so many people were talking about Herbert being a bust. And I think so far Herbert looks like the best one. But with Harbaugh being more of a run coach, Burrow may look like the best one. Look, man, for all those head injuries, please stop playing football. But yeah, you're right. If Minnesota could have gotten the 2, they would have taken Drake May. The Raiders were trying to get the 2 to take Jaden Daniels. The Raiders were really high on Jaden Daniels. That was the guy they wanted. I'm telling you right now, they don't need a tackle. They need interior players badly. But yeah, at 9, I would have traded down, and I don't know if they just didn't have an option to trade down. I could see the Bears and not trading with Minnesota. But if I was the Bears at 9, I would have traded down. I do know there was teams wanting a Duze. There was teams wanting Olu Fasanu. There was McCarthy. People wanted him. So, I mean, there's Bowers was another guy. The Raiders took him at 13. Dallas Turner, who the Vikings ended up trading back into the first round. Remember they picked, I think, 11 and 13. They went from 11 to 10. And then 23 to 16, so they can get Dallas Turner. So, yeah. Yeah, they need to fix that offensive line. I hope so. If I'm Minnesota, I would give Sam Darnold a Baker type deal and then keep McCarthy. But we'll have to find out. Vikings head coach is a good offensive coach. I think he does too. We're going to find out. One last minute here. I got Keaton Talk Sports. Keaton, I hope you're able to join Sunday night. And I also hope that you're able to come on Monday's show. I'm really looking forward to shows always better with you being in. Where would Sam Darnold fit if he has a good season? I think the Vikings got to develop JJ. I would love for him to stay right there in Minnesota. And Sam Darnold's been in some really bad situations. Look, let's just say Tennessee needs to blow things up and draft a quarterback. Could you get Darnold for a year to go to Tennessee? Sure. But if I'm Sam Darnold, I try everything I can to stay in Minnesota. I try to sign another like Gardner Minshew signed a 2-year, $25 million deal with the Raiders. I try to do something like that. If Minnesota says, look, we'll sign you, but you're not going to start, then I would move on. And we'll have to see. We will have to see. But if I'm Sam Darnold, he's in a really, really good spot there in Minnesota. I would stay there. I think Sam D's fit, but what does the Titan head coach? Yeah, we'll have to figure it out. Guys, I'm going to wrap up here. Guys, listen, Sunday night football, Chiefs, Falcons. It's going to be a good one. I hope to all see you back here next week. If you do have any questions, comments, drop a comment on YouTube. You can always DM me or go old school, dantalksfootball@yahoo.com. Have a great weekend. I hope to see you back on Sunday night.